And welcome to our Vengeance Demon Hunter talent tree for Dragonflight, our little deep dive on it. We've got Bioshock here and myself, Buckblind. Alright, so we're looking at the class tree here and then the new Vengeance one. The Vengeance tree just came out today. Real quick, we'll go through the uh, the class tree. We discussed a lot of it. We went in depth on that on our Havoc tree guide. But
Yeah.
we will go through real quick and take a look at what we would probably want to go with as far as for Vengeance. So we get Sigil of Flame right off the bat. Definitely going to take Hot Feet to have the second charge of Infernal Strike. Imprison is a must for Mythic Plus.
Is Vengeful Retreat's new to tanks, right? If they wanted to pick it.
Yeah, I don't know if I want that as a
It's just
tank.
mobility,
Well,
really.
it's a backwards
For the
mobility, so it's
slow.
like a disengage. The only time I would say taking it would be good would be on Necrotic Week. On Necrotic Weeks, it'd be amazing for a tank to have on Necrotic. I mean,
Right.
think about it. You have an ability that one disengages you from the targets, but also puts a 70% movement speed reduction for 3 seconds. Like we become the ultimate Necrotic tank.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that would be amazing, but I'm not too worried about that right now. If we have the extra ability, we're gonna use it. Otherwise, we're gonna focus on what we can get. Um, so we're gonna use Shattered Restoration. We want double targets of that. Flames of Fury, definitely want that to gain Fury per target hit. Heal for 5% of all fire damage you deal. Yes, self healing always great. Consume magic. We want to make sure we get that.
Yeah, because
Um,
it builds into infernal armor.
yep. And then the disrupt, definitely want to have the ranged interrupt. Um, so yeah, to get Vengeful Retreat and get the movement speed, we'd have to spend 4 talent points to get to it, and I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if we want to do that. Not yet, at least. Not
Yeah.
concerned about Pursuit. Don't care about that. So yeah, here's the first real choice we got here. This Aura of Pain. Um,
Or Fellblade.
yeah, or Fellblade. Increases critical strike chance of Emulation aura. That's going to be good.
Yeah.
Probably going to want that. So then we're going to go into Rush of Chaos, reducing the cooldown of meta by 60 seconds. Yes, definitely want that. I don't think you want either Concentrated Sigils or Precise Sigils, honestly. But we're definitely going to want Will of the Illidari to increase the health. So we're going to have to take probably just Lost in Darkness, I guess, just as a wasted point. I don't like either of these. Other than,
Isn't
uh,
Precise Sigil a little bit better than the Spectral Sight one, right? Or no?
no, because I don't really want either of those. I want the only thing that would be worth it would be concentrated sigils, just to get the 2-second increased duration. But ultimately,
Right.
I don't want my sigils being put at my target's location or my location.
Or
I'm
you
going
want
to
to
use a
place
mouse.
yourself.
I'm going to use a mouse over macro, so I don't
Yeah.
like either one of those because it basically eliminates your ability to place them where you want them. So I don't like that talent, either one of those. So we're just going to use Lost in Darkness just to open up that Will of the Illidari and get the 4% max health. Sigil of Silence, obviously want that. Infernal Armor, yes, we want that. Those are both excellent. Soul Rending, yes, we want the Leech increase as a tank. Excellent to have. Um,
Do you go into demonic or demonic origins at all?
oh yeah, we'll definitely
Because that's opened up right now.
yeah, we'll definitely end up grabbing that. I want my Chaos Nova because I want my CC.
Right, yeah.
Um,
You get
hmm.
blur for sure. Right?
Yeah, we'll look at that here in a second. First, we gotta finish getting. We got to get one more talent point. I'm trying to see because I really want that reduced magic damage as well. But in order to do that, we'd have to spend points in Pursuit and Fellfire Haste. And I don't know if that's worth it just to get 4% magic reduction. But for now,
Yeah.
we're going to go into Demonic. I'm assuming it is going to work for Fell Devastation, I would assume.
Demonic Origins?
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the tooltip, it says Havoc right now.
Yeah, but I just don't... If it's
Well, so
Havoc...
does Demonic as well,
But,
actually.
well, that's what I'm saying. So here's the thing. If it's Havoc only, why is it in the class tree?
Yeah.
Like, that's
I
what...
just...
I'm assuming it's going to be for Vengeance as well. I'm assuming the tooltip is just wrong.
I'm just curious to know how this works, because Rush of Chaos reduced it by 60 seconds. Either reducing it by another 2 minutes from Demonic Origins. That seems like 3 minutes is too much
For what?
for having meta, because then it's up every 1 minute.
Well, so technically, Rush of Chaos reduces Metamorphosis to a 2-minute cooldown. I don't know that, like I said, I think these tooltips are defaulting to the Havoc version. I don't think they're showing the Vengeance version on here. So I'm going to guess
Right.
that cooldown reduction is probably more like a 30-second reduction. But ultimately, like, Demonic is what you're going to want. You're not going to use Demonic Origins as a tank
Yeah.
because it's kind of dumb. Metamorphosis already only lasts for 15 seconds as a tank anyway, so you're going to want Demonic. I don't see, again. I'm curious to see how it actually plays out in the beta because I don't understand why they would have spec specific talents in the general class tree. If you have any talent that is a spec specific talent, it should be in the spec talent tree, not in the class tree. So I'm assuming that these are going to also work for Vengeance. It's just that the Wowhead talent is defaulting to, or the Wowhead tooltip is defaulting to the Vengeance. That's
Yeah.
my assumption, but I don't know for sure.
Right.
But yeah, it doesn't make sense for it to be in the class tree if it's a specific spec requirement.
Yeah.
All right, so then Blur, yes, definitely going to take Blur because that's a beautiful, beautiful defensive cooldown that we haven't had access to, and to
Okay, I
get
was
that
gonna ask.
access is yeah, having Blur is a new thing for Vengeance, so having that
Right.
ability is fantastic. Um, obviously we want Sigil of Misery because that's strong. Enemies deal 8% reduced magic to you for 8 seconds after Demon Muzzle. Probably going to go with that one. Increased chance to parry. Going to go with that one. We've got, what, 7 talents left?
Yeah.
Extended Sigils we want.
Do you get Quicken Sigils?
Quicken Sigils. Yes, once we're there, we're going to get Quicken Sigils for sure. Then, let's see. We're going to take the Hunt, obviously.
The Hunt. I was about to say, are you taking the Hunt?
Yeah,
I'm
we're going to
glad you
take
are,
the
'cause the
Hunt.
Hunt is an iconic ability for Demon Hunters.
Well, and it's so Vengeance technically have access to it. We just don't ever use it because we always use Kyrian. But having
Right.
access to it, and again, I kind of like with the Havoc class tree for Mythic Plus. I don't think that you're going to be taking the cooldown reduction one because how often are enemies going to die in those first 12 seconds? Because the dot only
Yeah.
lasts for oh, the dot only lasts for 6 seconds. So, yeah, chances are nothing's going to die in that time.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to go with Unnatural Malice to increase the damage over time. We've got 2 talents left. Now,
Do you get Desperate Instincts for the increased Blur? Oh no, you don't count enough points to get it. Never mind.
yeah, I'm not concerned about that one anyway. I'm not thinking the
Did you pick up
cooldown.
Darkness?
That's what I'm looking at. Possibly Darkness is one to get. I think it just depends. You know, if we're running in a group with other demon hunters, I don't think we need it because I don't think you
Yeah.
need 2 or 3 darknesses. I'm just trying to think. If there's anything else I would rather get. So at this point, um, with only 2 points left, there's not a whole lot of great stuff you can get. I think maybe I go with Unleashed Power. And then just to reduce the fury cost of Chaos Nova and reduce the cooldown on it so you have it for free. Well, not necessarily free, almost for free. And then at that point, let's see. What would I want for my last talent point? Well, with Sigil of Misery being a 2-minute cooldown, maybe I take the. I probably just go ahead and take Darkness. Even if it's a 5-minute cooldown, I go ahead and take it. Just have one other nice big cooldown. I think for now that's what
Yeah.
I'm going to do for the class tree.
All right.
So now let's go into the brand new Spec Tree, never before seen. Right off the bat, very first, and I'm glad. I'm so happy that this is looks like this is going to be your core vengeance ability, Fell Devastation. Used to be kind of a point. I mean, it wasn't pointless, but it just wasn't that great. And with this tier set, oh my goodness, it became amazing. Um, so loving that that's going to be looks like it's going to be the core ability.
One thing I noticed right away is that it's not AoE capped.
Yeah, I don't think it is AoE capped even now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I think as of right now,
Was it always a 1-minute cooldown?
yes, it's a 1-minute cooldown, but with the tier set, every soul bomb fragment has a chance to reduce it by 1 second.
Oh, okay.
So it can get lower, but we'll see if they have anything like that in there now. Yeah, it is not capped because it's just a cone.
Right.
And it's got a range limit and stuff, so it's conal and it's a range limit, so they did not bother to cap it. Your position is really what determines the damage that you do on it.
Yeah.
Fiery Brand, Frailty. So those are the next talents in the next row. You got Frailty, which is similar to how it works now. For 5, they're only afflicted with Frailty for 5 seconds. Now I'm assuming each. I'm gonna guess each soul bomb or each soul fragment that you use probably will increase that. But yes, Frailty's a core for Spirit Bomb. You're gonna use that. Fiery Brand, you're gonna want that as well. And then
Next three
go
are all
ahead, yeah,
spike talents, looks like.
yep, go ahead and take us through those 3.
So deflecting spikes. Demon spikes also increase your parry chance of 15%. That's pretty good because it works with Aldraki design
Right.
from the class tree, so there's more chance to parry, which is
Yep.
nice. You got Retaliation. While Demon Spikes is active, melee attacks against you cause the attacker to take 10% attack power. Physical damage generates high threat.
It's also
So,
very nice.
yeah, so anything that Demon Spikes up, you got a passive threat being built up. These people
Yep.
attacking you.
Passive damage, passive threat. Definitely like that.
And then the last one, Calcified Spike. You take 10% reduced damage if a Demon Spike ends with 81% per second.
Well,
I feel
that's
like all 3 are
interesting.
pretty strong.
Yeah, for sure. So the way that Demon Spikes works at the moment is um, it increases your armor, which it sounds like is going to. It increases your parry chance by 15% for 6 seconds. With the current talent build, I don't think there's really anything that we do that increases that.
Yeah.
So you could. Yeah, there's nothing that we really do that increases that. So that's all pretty interesting. That's all new stuff. So again, we
Yeah.
normally it's normally a 15% parry chance. So deflecting spikes basically makes it I'm assuming the base ability, let's see down here. Demon spikes increases your armor. So with deflecting spikes, it does increase the parry chance by 6 seconds. So that makes it our standard typical demon spikes that we have. I really like
Yeah.
Retaliation. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to take calcified spikes. It's not. It looks cool, um, and it does
I,
unlock Burning Blood. That's kind of big, and you get 5%
I
reduced
think
damage for Emulation Aura.
I think yeah, you just gotta look ahead and see what you can get as you get calcified
Yep.
spikes. You know, it might be a must because of the talent it leads to, but I'm not sure yet.
Yep, so let's see. So then Soul Furnace, every 10 soul fragments you consume increases the damage of your next Soul Cleave by 40%. That's interesting because that's kind of trying to bring Soul Cleave back into the rotation. Because right now you don't use Soul Cleave for AoE.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
like you never use Soul Cleave because you want to spend all your fragments on Spirit
On
Bomb.
heals.
Well, it's on
Oh,
Spirit.
Spirit
It's on
Bomb.
Spirit
Okay.
Bomb. Perfectly balanced glaive reduces the cooldown of throw glaive by 6 seconds. Not really that important.
Yeah.
Roaring fire, fell devastation heals you for up to 30% more based off your missing health. So I think you're definitely going to put a point in retaliation just to unlock that, because that's a
Right.
big chunk of healing. So then the next
So
one
do
is
you
good.
do you put a point into deflecting spikes or calcified spikes yet?
Yes, you definitely want deflecting spikes because that's going to make your pair or you make
Alright,
your demon spikes the same as what it is now. Now again,
okay.
as we go through, we'll take a look and see maybe that changes. Maybe we want to spend that point elsewhere, but right now I'm putting it there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so then the next talent in that fourth row is Burning Blood. Fire damage increased by 8%. I like that a lot.
It's a buff to
Um,
fire brand, fell devastation, immolation aura.
yeah, it's a buff to a ton of our abilities. So I think we will end up putting putting a point in calcified spikes to unlock that. But we're gonna just take a look and see here because I don't know which side is gonna be more towards the AOE. It looks like with Spirit Bomb being on the left side, that's gonna be, I mean, the side you want to go to. The only thing I'm curious about is with everything on here. I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to go through. I think we'll hold off on putting points in anything just yet. We'll finish going through and see
Yeah.
what's what, and then kind of go through because this is a very different than anything we've ever seen for Vengeance tanks because
Yeah.
I mean we haven't been around with the old talent trees anyway. Um, but yeah, no, this will be interesting. All right, so Fell Flame Fortification, you take 5% reduced magic damage while Emulation Aura is active. That's also very good defensively, especially for Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
On that next row, go ahead and take us through there. Starting on
Starting
the
to
left
Feast of
side.
Souls.
Yep.
So your Feast of Souls Soul Cleave heals you for additional 54% attack power over 6 seconds.
So that's nice because that's going to increase that Soul Cleave ability as well. We kind of have that talent already, not really used at the moment, but go on to the next one.
We had a choice: Sheer Fury or Fracture. Hold on one sec. There we go. So Sheer Fury, I should say. It generates 5 additional Fury.
Okay, so I
Does
want to look at
Fracture?
Sheer. What does Sheer do currently? Okay, so Sheer looks like it works the same way. So pretty much everyone's gonna go Fracture there. Now, what this also says to me, which I don't like this, you definitely have to put a point in Deflecting Spikes, and you have to put a point in Soul Furnace because getting Fracture is a must-have. Fracture is way better than the typical Sheer ability.
It's got 2 charges on a 4.5-second recharge. That seems kind of crazy.
That's just how, yeah, it's how Fracture is now.
Okay.
Yep, but yeah, it shatters 2 soul fragments, whereas Sheer only shatters 1. And there's more single target damage as well. It's 40% attack power, or 40% of attack power, plus 80% of attack power physical damage, whereas
Yeah.
Sheer is just boom 40% of attack power.
Okay.
So you get 60% more damage, and you're generating 2 soul fragments. It's just that's the typical talent build right now is taking fracture.
Right. All right. So moving on, we got Chains of Anger. Increase the radius of your sigils by 1 yard. I feel like
Okay.
that's just meh.
Yeah, I mean it's nice, but it's kind of one of those. To me, I'm looking at that as unless I need it to unlock something, which could be possible. Unless I need it to unlock something, that's a take it if you have extra talent points.
Yeah. Alright, we got extended spikes next, and I think the tooltip's not correct. It increases duration of demon spikes by 0.0020 seconds.
Yeah, that
So I feel like
seems
that's a
wrong.
yeah. I'm sure it's probably meant to be maybe
Probably 1
point.
second.
Oh, okay.
Might,
Maybe 2 seconds when it's double pointed in or whatever.
yeah, that's what I would guess, because that doesn't seem. I mean, so demon spikes last already for. If I can get it here, demon spikes last for 6 seconds. So maybe a half a second to a second is where that should be at. Because I mean, if nobody's gonna put points into it to get 1/100th of a second added to it, so that's
Yeah.
definitely the tooltip's definitely incorrect on there.
Yeah. Alright, moving on. We got Agonizing Flames. Emulation or increase your movement speed by 10%, and its duration decreased by 25%.
Okay, so with 2 charges
And
of that, if that means the duration is increased to 50%,
yep, yep,
that is gonna be very, very good. Um,
yeah,
I definitely see that being a big, big factor.
yeah.
All right,
Move sheet's nice, but the duration's really nice.
yes, because that immolation aura typically, it is. That's not showing it. It's in the class now. Immolation aura lasts for. Why doesn't it say how long it lasts for? There it is. 6 seconds. So adding another 3 seconds to that makes it last for 9 seconds. It adds up a lot.
Yeah. Next we got a choice again. Got Soul Barrier, the 30-second cooldown. Shield yourself for 12 seconds, absorbing attack power percent and health damage. Consume all fragments within 25 yards to add 1 attack power percent and health to the shield per fragment. I don't know. Is that good, do you think? Soul Barrier?
So that's a talent that we have now, but we don't use it currently. Again, and it depends. I don't know exactly how this whole new talent build is going to play out. The big reason that nobody uses it right now is because we only consume soul fragments on Spirit Bomb. Like we do
Right.
not like we that's why we don't ever use Soul Cleave. We don't use this Soul Barrier because we don't want to spend soul fragments on anything but Spirit Bomb because Spirit Bomb is so much stronger than everything else.
Yeah.
So, again, it I'm go ahead and take us through bulk extraction what that does.
It's a 1.5 minute cooldown and demolish the spirit of all those around you, dealing 30% attack power, fire damage to nearby enemies, and extracting up to 5 lesser soul fragments. Drawing them to you for immediate consumption.
I'm gonna guess that that's the talent most people are gonna take if they're gonna take one of these two. Um, I, I
Yeah.
I just don't see Soul Barrier being used because again, the whole soul fragment economy is all about generating soul fragments and then consuming the soul fragments. You're
Yeah.
gonna want to consume between Shear and Soul Barrier and Spirit Bomb. Spirit Bomb's probably going to take top priority every time. The only exception is going to be with this that Soul Furnace ability. Every 10 soul fragments consuming, increasing the damage of your next soul cleave by 40%. That has the potential to make it worth spending 2 soul fragments on a soul cleave. But we'll have to see kind of how it plays out and what the math looks like on that. Because I could still see if once you're at 4 or more targets, I could still see Spirit Bomb being stronger.
Alright. And the last one, which is probably the most hype one, is Spell Not Found.
Yep, I am looking very forward to that one. It seems like it's going to have a ton of playability. I've heard rumors that there's the chance. I've heard this rumor. There's a chance that the Spell Not Found ability essentially um, when you press it, it's going to be a 2-second cooldown. And when you press it, every enemy and ally around you instantly dead.
Yeah,
Um,
I think every class should have that button.
It is. It is. It's a great one. It's a lot of fun. Uh, I've played it before. It's called BGs, and Buck playing PvP. Except it's weird because it works the opposite. What happens when you press it in Buck PvP is Buck dies and everyone else is alive. Yeah. All right. So we'll go through this next tree.
Yeah.
Void Reaver. I think it's an ability we kind of have now. Maybe. Oh wait. So oh, okay. So Void Reaver. Um, Frailty now causes afflicted damage or enemies to deal 4% reduced damage to you for 5 seconds. That I think is something that we've had already. However, this enemy struck by Soul Cleave are afflicted with Frailty for 5 seconds. I don't think that was something that we have currently. I'm gonna check.
I need to take a Tums real quick.
All right, yeah, no, Void Reaver, what Void Reaver currently does is enemies struck by Soul Cleave deal 6% less damage to you for 12 seconds. That's it. So that's definitely new. Um, that could be interesting. That again could help bring Soul Cleave a little bit back into the mix. The next talent over here we have Volatile Flame Blood. When Emulation Aura deals critical damage, it shatters a lesser soul fragment from the enemy. Love that. Definitely, you're going to want to get that if we're going to be playing a lot with Emulation Aura. Collective Anguish. So this is the legendary. Fell Devastation summons an allied Havoc Demon Hunter who casts Eye Beam, dealing chaos damage over 2 seconds, deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets.
Well, at least they get the cap from Havoc.
Yep, that's gonna be nice. That could be really pretty strong, especially for Mythic Plus. That's gonna be really good, especially. And again, I don't know, but I'm hoping we have something that works similar to the tier set bonus to reduce that Fell Devastation cooldown, because that is what, to me personally, what has made Vengeance Demon Hunter so much fun to play is having Fell Devastation available so often. It's just it's a cool looking ability, it's a fun ability, and it's a powerful ability.
Yeah.
Alright, so the next one is Fallout. Emulation Aura's initial burst has a chance to shatter lesser soul fragments from enemies. So, again, generating more soul fragments. I think you're going to be trying to get both of those. The Volatile Flame Blood and Fallout. I think both of those are going to be good to get. We'll see again whenever we go through and put our talents in. We'll see what we're able to spend it on, because you're gonna have to make. I mean, there's gonna have to make choices and sacrifices. I think. Like I'm looking at these talents, and a lot of this stuff, I'm going, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. And I'm going, I don't see how I can get all of it. So that's kind of why I wanted to wait and go through everything, and then see what the end looks like, and then make up a path from there. All right, so Revel in Pain. When Fiery Brand expires on your primary target, you gain a shield that absorbs damage for 15 seconds based off of your damage dealt to them with Fiery Brand as active. More of a single target defensive anyway, unless we have something to spread. I don't think I'm going to worry about getting that, probably, most likely.
I think the only time you'd ever get it is if the spell not found is really good.
Yeah. And for rating, I think it's good. The typical Fiery Brand ability, really, I mean, that's kind of all you really need. To be completely honest, I forget to even use Fiery Brand half the time on Mythic Plus because it only affects one target. I should be using it, but I forget to use it all the time. I use it on bosses a lot, but that's about it. All right, so start us off with that last row for this section.
All right, starting off big, Spirit Bomb.
See.
Consume up to 5 available soul fragments, then explode damage nearby enemies for attack power, fire damage per fragment consumed, and afflicting them with Frailty for 5 seconds, causes you heal for 8% of damage dealt to them, deals reduced damage beyond 8 targets.
So the only thing that I'm looking at with Spirit Bomb is that Frailty time. Because right now, and this is odd, to me. So right now, when it when you use Spirit Bomb, it gives them Frailty for 20 seconds. So that's a big difference. However, I think there's some stuff in here, such as like the Void Reaver, and I'm assuming I think they're gonna have a way for your Frailty to stack. So I
Yeah.
think they're gonna kind of take care of that. But I think the way they're doing it might be you're gonna kind of rotate between Spirit Bomb and Cleave or Soul Cleave. I think they're gonna try to get us to rotate between those two. So we're gonna use Spirit Bomb for 5, and then Soul Cleave for 2 to take 2 soul fragments. So to kind of get that cap on Frailty, because Frailty is huge. Frailty is where most of our healing comes from.
Yeah.
Because what Frailty does is Frailty gives. Let me find their tooltip for it for in here. Frailty. I'm not seeing Frailty. Let's just go to all. They don't have it anywhere in here. Interesting.
Gonna move on to the next.
Yeah, go ahead and go over the next one. I'm gonna keep looking for it.
We got Painbringer. Consuming a soul fragment reduces all damage taken by 2% if you have 2 points in for 4 seconds, and multiple applications may overlap.
All right, so it's
So some,
Painbringer.
yeah,
Reduces all damage. Oh, okay. So multiple of. So I'm assuming by overlapping.
it'll stack.
Yeah. So that sounds like it's gonna work kind of like Iron Fur for bear
Guardian.
tanks. Yeah, for Guardian Druids. So the way that sounds like that'll work is, it's not gonna necessarily stack in the traditional sense of stacking.
Yeah.
Because like a traditional stacking would be, each soul fragment reduces it by, if you say you take 3 of them, well now you have 3 for 12 seconds. That's not how this is gonna work. It sounds like the way it's gonna work is, let's say you suck in 5 soul fragments, you have 5% reduced damage for 4 seconds, and then say 2 seconds later you suck in another 5 soul fragments. Well now you have 10% reduced damage, but that 10% is only going to last for 2 seconds because that's all you have left from your first application. And once you get past those 2 seconds, then it's going to drop back down to 5%. So that the duration is going to stay with those with each soul fragment that you absorb or consume, but the percentage will go up. So anything within those 4-second window, however many you can get in that time, you're gonna have that much reduced damage, and it'll drop off as the duration, runs out. So, but that's kind of nice because I could see that basically being able to keep you close to. Basically, you're gonna have 5 to 10% reduced damage almost all of the time.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be nice. That's like almost a built-in passive defensive. All right, so let's
Alright, next we got a Dark Glare Boon. When Fell Devastation finishes fully channeling, it refreshes 10 to 20% of its cooldown and refunds 10 to 20 Fury.
Okay.
There's your
So,
cooldown reduction you wanted.
um,
So 2 points makes
now,
that 20 to 40%.
so here's the thing that I see with this Dark Glare boon, and this is what um has me very excited right now. This is not the way that the legendary works. The legendary has a 40% chance to not have any cooldown and refund all of the fury from it, and you can immediately use it again. What this is it's a guaranteed chance to refresh 20 to 40% of its cooldown. So it's
Yeah.
guaranteed you're going to get 20 to 40%. So you're not going to get the instantaneous procs, but You're
Will it be up more
guaranteed to
often?
reduce it, yes, and that is so 20 to 40% basically is going to be
20 to 40
12,
seconds.
12. Well, no, so 20 to 40% is going to be 12 seconds
Oh, I don't
to
know, 40
20.
seconds.
Yeah, it's going to reduce it by 12 seconds to anywhere from
Yeah,
12 to 24
2.
seconds.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that makes it a 36 to 48-second cooldown, which is not great,
yeah,
but it's definitely going to be nice to have that reduced cooldown.
yeah,
And perhaps we'll see some other stuff later on that maybe will give it a chance to reduce it more. I don't know. I think the Darkboon Glare, the way it currently works with the legendary, is probably a little bit stronger. Um, but I do think this is uh, well, not necessarily stronger, because really the tier bonus is what makes Fell Devastation so strong. So maybe they've put something in somewhere that will kind of make up for the tier bonus. All right, going to the
yeah.
next one.
Next we got Cycle of Binding. Afflicting an enemy with a sigil reduces their cooldown of your sigils by 1 second. So 2 points is 2 seconds. I'm not
Now,
familiar with sigil cooldown, so I'm not sure how much of an impact this will have.
so here's what I would be curious on. How does this work? Is it every enemy that you hit with the sigil reduces it by 2 seconds, or is it just when you use your sigil, when you use a sigil, it reduces all your other sigils cooldowns by 2 seconds? Because if it does it for each target, because it says afflicting an enemy with a sigil, it doesn't say use of a sigil. It says afflicting an enemy. So
Yeah.
if you hit 5 targets with it, does it reduce all of your sigils by 10 seconds? That's what I'm curious to see on that. Because if
Yeah.
it does, that is a must-have, absolute must-have ability.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so then go on to our next
The
one.
last one in this row is Sigil of Chains. Place a Sigil of Chains at the target location that activates after 2 seconds. All enemies by the sigil are pulled to its center and are snare reduced movement speed by 70% for 6 seconds.
So I don't know that this is a you're going to definitely take it, but what I like about it is I can now get that and still have my quicken sigils and all that stuff, all the other sigil stuff. Because right now you have to choose between quicken sigils or sigil of chains, and quicken
Yeah.
sigils is stronger. But sigil of chains is also really good to have in Mythic Plus. Again, not really worth it at all for a raid. I mean, you can't. It doesn't even. It's not going to work on a raid boss. So unless it's a raid fight that's going to have a lot of ads, Sigil of Chains is really useless in raid.
Yeah.
However, in Mythic Plus, it is strong because having that ability to grip everything and stack everything up, reduce their speed and everything, makes it so much easier for people to burst stuff down. You can use it as an AoE interrupt for when there's 3 or 4 targets starting to cast stuff. It'll interrupt that. It is a hard CC, so if it's the red the red type of cast that normally you can't interrupt, you have to use a stun or something. It'll interrupt those. So it's very, very strong in AO or in Mythic Plus. But right now, like I said, you have to decide between that and Quicken Sigils, and Quicken Sigils is going to make your Elysian Decree about a 30-second cooldown when you
Yeah.
take everything else into account that you get. So it's just too strong for Quicken Sigils right now to be able to use Sigil of Chains.
Yeah.
So having that ability to have both of those, I love that. Uh,
All right. This is the
Jumping
next
down
row
to
then.
to this third section, Focus Cleave. Soul Cleave deals 50% increased damage to your primary target. Okay, it's kind of meh for Mythic Plus, but that can be good for raiding. The next one is Soulmonger. When consuming a soul fragment would heal you above a full health, it shields you instead up to a maximum of it's like 10% of your total health, which is interesting, because I don't think that's something we currently have. No,
Yeah.
maybe we do, and I've just missed it. Um, but I don't believe that is something we have. I'm not seeing it. Um, nope, we do not have that yet. So that's interesting, because then you're getting your full, almost your full healing abilities on there. So if you're max health, you're going to get a 10% absorb shield. That's that's very strong. Defensively, that is amazing sounding to me.
Yeah.
All right, so then Ruinous Bulwark. Fell Devastation heals for an additional 10%, and 50% of its overhealing is converted into an absorb shield for 10 seconds. It's already something that we have access to. It's a talent we have. Uh, I don't know that we necessarily would use it, but I think it'll be good. It just kind of also going to depend on what it unlocks. So the next
Yeah.
talent is Burning Alive. Now, this is where Fiery Brand. This, oh man, I almost don't like where this is positioned at, because I feel like it's very difficult to to determine a good path for AOE versus single target, because Fiery Brand makes that Fiery Brand ability spread to a new target every 2 seconds. Fiery Brand is a 40% damage reduction debuff.
Yeah.
Like, whatever target it is on, they do 40% less physical damage to you. Uh, Fiery Brand is a huge defensive buff. So that, and with it spreading, it does do decent damage. Um, Also, the very next talent over to the right, Fiery Brand increases the fire damage you deal to the target by 25%. So
That's big.
that's going to increase your Emulation aura damage. Um, that's that I think this talent tree is probably one of the more difficult ones for me to see a good path, because there's good options on both sides. But I
Yeah.
also kind of am curious how they're trying to build this out. I'm curious on, because it doesn't look like there's a clear rating versus Mythic Plus path. It feels like it is more, do you want to use Immolation Aura or Spirit Bomb? Which is, it feels weird because we've always used both. It's not been something that we've really chosen on. So I don't know. We'll see. Um, so yeah, let's go on and start us on that next to last row there.
Cool. Um, Starting off, we got Vulnerability. Frailty now also increases all damage you deal to affected targets by 4%. That goes to 8% with 2 points. Just more damage.
Yep. Yep.
Next, we got Feed the Demon. Consuming a soul fragment reduces the remaining cooldown demon spikes by 0.25 seconds.
Oh. Now having that in there is very good, because that will be increased to 50%, or by half a second is what that's going to increase to, and that's very, very good. Feed the Demon was one of our strongest defensive abilities, so again, having access to that at all times is very interesting. I definitely see that coming into play, especially for raiding. For for Mythic Plus, it's just going to kind of depend on whether or not Spirit Bomb has enough healing built into it and stuff.
Yeah. Next, we got Charred Flesh. Emulation R damage increases the duration of Fiery Brand by 0.25 seconds.
Yep. So again, when you take Burning Alive, and then that, and again, and it's got 2 charges that can increase it by 50, or by half a second. when you take those two, that's what makes Fiery Brand very strong defensively in Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
And well, again, it all depends on the math, but I feel like the left side feels a bit more damage. Like you're gonna get more damage on the left side, but it does feel like they've got a lot of stuff on the right side of the tree here that's going to increase your fire damage and immolation aura damage. It definitely
Yeah.
feels like the right side is built around Fiery Brand and Immolation Aura, and the left side is built around Frailty and Spirit Bomb. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, and so there's the tooltip for Frailty. You heal for 8% of all damage you deal to targets with Frailty. So again, that's big healing. If you've got, Spirit Bomb is uh reduce damage beyond 8 targets, that still means your Spirit Bomb, I mean, you're doing 8% for each target that you hit, 8% healing of whatever damage you do. It's a lot
Yeah.
of healing. That's why Spirit Bomb is the biggest heal that we get currently. All right, so we're going to go into this last talent row for the Vengeance spec. So the first one is the Weak-Willed. Um, multiple multiple applications of frailty may overlap. Soul Cleave applies frailty to your primary target for 5 seconds. I don't really understand that little second part there about Soul Cleave applying frailty to your primary target, because that kind of already, you're going to have that anyway. So unless it's your primary target, it's going to get it for 10 seconds. And the overlap is immediate because with a Void Reaver talent, which you pretty much have to grab for anything, you pretty much are forced into that talent on this side of the tree.
Yeah.
It's already going to afflict anything hit with Soul Cleave is going to be afflicted with Frailty for 5 seconds. So maybe the primary one will jump to 10 right off the bat. But the multiple applications. So like I was saying earlier, Spirit Bomb normally right now puts Frailty on the targets for 20 seconds. So
Right.
now it's only 5 seconds. However, if you're bouncing back and forth between Soul Cleave and Spirit Bomb, that's going to keep increasing that. It doesn't show a cap. So I'm curious now by overlap. So here's my question. And again, this is where not having beta access is kind of hurts. So when they
Come
say
on, Blizzard.
overlap, does that mean that it extends the duration? Because I'm thinking that what this is saying is it's going to make it jump from 8% to 16% for however long is left on the first application.
Yeah.
So potentially you're just doubling the frailty healing that you're going to get for a certain amount of time. And I think that actually could be stronger. Because there's really, let me see here. Let me run a quick experiment right here on my DH. Jump up to the test dummies. So 1, 2, 1. I think you possibly could have it built to where you're going to be able to get 16% healing, because I'm able to use that, like with the current build Spirit Bomb, I'm able to use that enough that you're going to be able to get that 16% healing. And also, again, the way that it feels like they're trying to set up that side is you're essentially going to alternate between Spirit Bomb and Soul Cleave. I think it's going to be kind of similar to how the single target rotation is now, where when you have soul fragments, you're going to use your soul fragments on Spirit Bomb, and then you're just
Yeah.
going to use Soul Cleave whenever you don't have any soul fragments up. So essentially, right after you use Spirit Bomb, you're going to immediately use Soul Cleave if you have enough Fury still left. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of the way that's going to play. Which doing that is definitely going to give you 16% healing on each target, and that is really nice. I like that a lot. So then Soul Carver. Carve into the soul of your target, dealing fire damage, and then an additional amount of fire damage over 3 seconds. Immediately shatters 2 lesser soul fragments from the target and 1 additional lesser soul fragment every second.
Was this ability in the game now, or is
I
this a
f-
Legion artifact ability?
it.
I'm pretty sure it's a Legion artifact ability.
That's what I'm trying to think. Unless that's a legendary. I think it's a legendary ability because I don't. I was thinking Necro, but Necro is not. That's not the Necro Lord ability. Um, if we look at the legendaries, I want to say that's one of the legendary abilities. But I don't see it, so I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. But no, it is an interesting ability. I don't know that I'm necessarily gonna use that. I just don't know. It depends. The damage is very strong, so it looks like it could be a good single target ability. But I don't think you're gonna use it a bunch in Mythic Plus. So let's go on to the middle talent here. Last Resort. Obviously, probably for any kind of progression, if you're tanking progression raid, or if you're pushing keys, you're gonna want Last Resort.
Yeah.
Having that cheat death is big. And then over here to the right, again, must have. I don't even care about Fodder to the Flame. It's the Necro Lord Covenant ability that's useless and pointless. Don't care. Elysian Decree, OP as can be. Uh, Super strong, super amazing. Elysian Decree is what you're going to want. For Mythic Plus, you're using Elysian Decree. I think for rating, you're probably going to go to Soul Carver, honestly. I think you're going to... I don't think you're going to bother with Elysian Decree for rating. But for Mythic Plus, Elysian Decree is just too good. And then the last talent there really makes it just makes it even more confusing as a whole as to what you're supposed to do in this tree. Fiery Brand having an additional charge. Okay, so there's 2 charges of Fiery Brand now, which is a 1-minute recharge. Yeah, that's weird. That's Firebrand's never has had charges, so that's completely new. That's a little weird to me, but I don't know which way to go with on this talent tree, because I feel like there's some very, very strong builds on either side. I think for sure you're going down the middle. I think you kind of just don't really have a choice. All right, so we're gonna reset this whole tree here and start from scratch. So obviously, Fell Devastation you're taking. I think right away you're. Oh nope, you're gonna go with Frail. You're gonna take that Frailty no matter what, because Sigil of Flame is going to afflict targets with Frailty. So no matter what, you're gonna want your Sigil of Flame to do that. So that's huge right there. Also, I didn't even notice that the first time through. But yeah, so Frailty you're gonna grab. And then it really comes down to, I think you're gonna stick to the left side. As strong as the Emulation aura could be, I feel like getting all the damage with Spirit Bomb is just too strong for anything. I think you're gonna see most Vengeance DHs going down the left side. I do think Retaliation is going to be good. Deflecting Spikes is where you're going to go so that you have access to everything. Fell Devastation healing you up more, definitely going to get that. I don't think I care about the Throw Glaive cooldown. That's one we can avoid. Soul Furnace you're going to grab for sure. We still have 2 more talents to spend on this side. So we're going to grab Fiery Brand, and we're going to grab the calcified spikes, because, I mean, they're both better than anything else. Now that opens up possibility to making Burning Blood get the damage increase. That could be something we definitely go for later on when we have extra points. Extended spikes. My hunch is based off of the guess that that tooltip is wrong. I think you're gonna take extended spikes, both charges. Also, just to get collective anguish, I think that's gonna be very strong damage-wise for AOE. Honestly,
Yeah.
even for single target, I think that could be strong. Um, So then Fracture, gonna take Fracture. The Chains of Anger, I don't think we care about it. We've already got access to Volatile Flame Blood. I think we're definitely going to take that. And we're going to take Feast of Souls so that we can get to Void Reaver. So we're going to take both of those, and then we're going to take Spirit Bomb. I think you have to get those because you have to have Spirit Bomb for this build. Painbringer, again, I think is really going to be good. So I think you're going to take both of those. And with 2 charges, that reduces all the damage you take by 2% for 4 seconds. Again, that's really nice. I like that a lot. Dark Glare Boon, definitely taking both charges of that. Ruinous Bulwark, I think you're going to grab that. You're going to grab Soulmonger. I definitely think that's going to be huge as well. I don't think I care about Focus Cleave for Mythic Plus. For rating, I think you're going to go that route, but I don't think you care about it for this. Vulnerability, definitely going to go with that to increase your damage to afflicted enemies by 8%. Weak-willed, you're going to get that, definitely. Let's see. Feed the Demon, you're going to take those, both points into there. We've got 3 points left. So we're going to take Elysian Decree. You're going to take your Last Resort, most likely. And I'm going to take Fallout. And I think that's my Mythic Plus build.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the strongest build. So it looks like your Emulation Aura, you're not going to play around too much with Emulation Aura, it looks like. Which is unfortunate, because I do like some of the stuff over there, but I just think the left side, Spirit Bomb, is just so much stronger than anything else damage-wise that you can get. And then being able to getting able to get Collective Anguish, Dark Boon or Dark Glare Boon, all that stuff in the middle. Your Fell Devastation is going to be so strong. I think the build, so the build to the right, what it basically does with the Immolation Aura build is you're going to do a lot of passive AoE damage. And then also, rather than doing a ton of self-healing, it just makes you, basically it's built around reducing all the damage that you're taking. It's very damage reduction oriented. I think I still personally, I always will prefer the self-healing. And I think the left side of this tree, tons of self-healing. I mean, I could be completely wrong with this because I haven't looked at the blood talent stuff, but like looking at the way the self-healing works on this, I think DHs are going to be self-healing for more than what blood DKs are doing right now in current retail.
Right.
Like I could see, depending on what they do with blood DKs, I could see with this build, Vengeance DHs having the highest self-healing out of any tank in the game.
Yeah.
Because this is looking at the way that this build works, it looks to me like it's basically doubling the amount of healing that we're going to take from Frailty. And that's where all our healing comes from right now anyway. That's where we're doing so much healing. Can you imagine? You've seen how much self-healing I do in a Mythic Plus dungeon, right? Double that.
Yeah.
And imagine that. Like, it's ridiculous, the self-healing. Honestly, I
Yeah.
could see potentially I could see some of this stuff get nerfed as far as regarding to self-healing. I hope it doesn't. Um, but I could see some of the self-healing getting nerfed. But I do like this build. I think I'm more excited to try out Havoc with these new talent system. But I do think this does create an interesting gameplay. It definitely brings Soul Cleave back into the it definitely brings Soul Cleave back into the mix as an ability you're going to use. Um,
Yeah.
I really like that Sigil of Flame is gonna put Frailty on. That to me is very interesting. Um, I like that a lot. All right, now before we wrap this up, I want to make a build based on the other side of the tree, just because I want to see what all we can get from the left side. Because
Yeah.
I have a hunch that you could make it even stronger, possibly. All right, so we're gonna take Fiery Brand right off the bat. Calcified Spikes because we want access to all the stuff over here on the side. Burning Blood for the 8% damage increase. Fell Flame Fortification for the 5% reduced magic damage. Now, here's where this is gonna get interesting, in my opinion. We're gonna grab Frailty. We're gonna grab Deflecting Spikes, and we're gonna grab Soul Furnace. So my theory here is basically say, who cares about Fell Devastation? That's basically what I'm doing here. I'm gonna basically ignore Fell Devastation, and which is interesting because that's one of your big defensive cooldowns. But from a
Yeah.
damage perspective, doing more damage, I'm curious if this would be a strong build or not. All right, so on the right side, we're gonna go Agonizing Flames, both talents, and then. I don't know if we take either Bulk Extraction or Soul Barrier, honestly. Don't know what the Spell Not Found is, but we're gonna go ahead and take that because we do want Revel and Pain based off how this build's gonna be. Fallout for elimination, Emulation Aura's initial burst, definitely want that. Cycle of Binding. We got to take it because we need access to Fiery or to Burning Alive, so we have to take Cycle of Binding. I don't really want it, but I think we have to take it. Dark Lair Boon. I think we take that. Both charges of those. Feast of Souls, Void Reaver, and Spirit Bomb. So right now we're making it where we're going to have Spirit Bomb and Immolation Aura, and we're going to ignore the Fell Devastation, basically. We still have
Right.
Fell Devastation, and we still get the reduced cooldown. We're just ignoring. We're not going to have Collective Anguish or the extra healing from it, basically.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to take Burning Alive because that's crucial to this build. I don't know if I want Ruinous Bulwark or not. I think we kind of have to take it, though, if we want Last Resort. Alright, so Immolation to Aura damage increases the duration of your Fire Brand by 25 seconds. Also, Fiery Brand increases fire damage. You deal to the target by 25%. Definitely taking both of those. And we're going to take the extra charge of Fiery Brand with that Down in Flames. We're also going to take Elysian Decree. Now, we have 4 points left. So, I think you have two choices here. We either... Actually, I mean, this is where it's a tougher choice. Because we can either take... You know what? Actually, I'm going to get out of Dark Boon Glare. And then... take Painbringer. And then rebuild that right side there. So then I go... Soulmonger, vulnerability, and the weak-willed. And that's our so that's our build. Now the big things that we're missing, which to me is interesting, but I think it's okay because we won't need it with the fiery brand ability. Is we're gonna miss that consuming a soul fragment, reducing the remaining cooldown of demon spikes by half a second. That's big to not have. So not having feed the demon is kind of big. But with this build, we have all the spirit bomb access and we have all the AoE from burning blood. We still have Fell Devastation, but it's just the standard, typical 1 minute cooldown of Fell Devastation. And we lose Last Resort. So this is a very damage-focused build. But I also think you get more defensive ability, and you still get all the self-healing. That's, I think, what's interesting about this build. So I could see this build or the first one that we did, either of those being very viable.
Yeah.
I think if you're going for maximized self-healing, you're going to go with the first build. If you're going for maximized damage, I'm not sure which one would put out more damage, this one or the first one. It kind of depends on how much damage you can get from Fell Devastation with that Collective Anguish. But you're going to get a lot of damage from your Emulation aura. And from the stuff with Fiery Brand, you're going to do more fire damage. I feel like this right side is probably a little bit stronger. This second build, I think, is stronger damage-wise than the first build. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know by how much. Defensively, I also think this is probably... I don't know. This is interesting. I don't know which one is stronger here defensively. Because Fell Devastation, the big key is that it gives you Demonic for 6 seconds. I think with the way that the Dark Glare boon works in this setup, I don't think it's as strong as it is now. So I think this is stronger defensively. I kind of like this.
Yeah.
So this is definitely why I cannot wait to get this in beta, because I want to try both of these builds out in Mythic Plus and beta.
Yeah.
Because I'm very curious as to how they play. This one I think is going to give you a smoother defensive gameplay. Because you're going to have some very good, strong self-healing, but you're also going to have very good defensives. I think, though, with this build, the one risk that I see is that it potentially... you may have some gaps where you have kind of the same issue that Vengeance DHs had at the start of Shadowlands, where there are gaps where you just don't have any defensives. Now, having Blur as an option, I think becomes very, very big there, and will help make up for that gap. That's one of the big, nice things about it. Having Blur really could make up for that gap in defensives. The other thing that I'm curious on is Metamorphosis. So the only tooltip that I am seeing anywhere on here for Metamorphosis is the way that it works for Havoc. I can't find, like, it's not giving a different description for what it does for Vengeance. So I don't know if it's gonna be where it lasts for 30 seconds now, and it's a 4-minute cooldown with that 1 minute reduction, or if it's still gonna work the way that it currently does for Vengeance. Once again, like we've said over and over, this is where not having access to beta Blizzard really hurts us.
Yeah.
Hint, hint, wink, wink. Give me beta. Because I really want to try this stuff out and see how it all works to have a better understanding. I'm checking my email right now. I have no emails from Blizzard. Awesome.
Check too.
Yeah, I have nothing. But beta is launching. I don't know if it is already launched today or not, or if it Or if
It
there's
is. I saw some people playing today.
okay, so people do have access to it now. I knew that everything had changed from saying alpha to beta, but I just didn't know if they had actually activated and brought up the beta servers yet.
Yeah.
Um, Evokers have Bloodlust and Paladins have Battle Reses in the beta now. Just an FYI. Just
What
saw that
happened?
tip.
Sorry, what was that?
Evokers,
Oh, half of their lost.
they have Lust, and the Paladins have Battle Res on today's build for beta.
Oh, okay.
Um, but yeah, no, I think whenever I can get in there, I definitely want to try both these builds out because I think this one has the potential for the most damage, but a little bit with the sacrifice of a lot less uptime on Metamorphosis and then a little bit less uptime on Demon Spikes. I think the Demon Spikes thing, so it's a trade-off. Like basically, you're going to be using Fiery Brand as a filler, but Fiery Brand has a 1 minute cooldown on each charge. Now, having the duration be extended based off your Emulation aura damage, spreading around to different targets, all that stuff makes it where it could be very strong. I'm very curious how this plays in a Mythic Plus setting, either one of these builds. I have a feeling the first build is going to be the primary Mythic Plus build. I just think it's going to put out more damage, and the amount of self-healing is going to be absolutely insane. And you can still,
Yeah.
and the thing is, it's still going to get you some decent damage from Immolation Aura. Immolation Aura is not going to do near the damage it's going to do with the as it's going to do with the second build here, but you're going to get good soul fragment generation from it. I think that's going to be the biggest thing and the biggest reason why the first build will be stronger is because I think you're going to see so much soul fragment generation. Because with that first build, we had both Fallout, which makes the initial Immolation Aura damage, the initial burst has a chance to shatter lesser soul fragments, and
Yeah.
with Volatile Flame Blood, any crit damage it does will shatter lesser soul fragments. It can only
Yeah.
occur once every 1.5 seconds, but whoop-de-doo. Um, also, the
Yeah.
increased Demon Spike duration combined with reducing, with each soul fragment reducing the cooldown on it from Feed the Demon. Defensively, Feed the Demon is one of the strongest talents in this tree. Like that really, really will give you 100% uptime on Demon Spikes, I think. Because if you're consuming, so it's 6 seconds is how long Demon Spikes last for. Let's add that. Let's say it's 1 second that extended spikes adds it for. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that talent tooltip is wrong. I'm assuming
Yeah.
it's going to be half a second for each charge. So let's say it's 1 second total. So that makes it a 7 second duration. Um, you're going to get Spirit Bomb off twice, and during that time. It's typically like an 8 second recharge, 9 second recharge, something like that. Let me. Where is it? Spec Demon Spikes is it's a 20 second recharge now. Huh. Is that decreased by haste? Because right now, I guess it's a 15 second recharge for me now. Okay. So yeah, it's probably reduced by haste, but either way, um, if you're taking 10, if you get 2 spirit bombs off during that time, each one is reducing it by half a second. So that's 5 second reduction on the cooldown. Demon Spikes is going to be up pretty much 90% of the time with Feed the Demon. So that
Yeah.
becomes a big defensive ability. And again, we have Blur now. That I can't even begin to explain to you how amazing having Blur is as a Vengeance Demon Hunter.
Yeah.
That's an extra filler defensive because that's the biggest issues Vengeance Demon Hunters had until the tier set came out, was that you would just have gaps where you don't have a defensive ability to use. You would use your Fell Devastation. Well, it's a minute cooldown, so whoop-de-doo. You could use you were using Dark Boon Glare, but if it didn't proc, you still only get the Metamorphosis for 6 seconds, and then you had to wait almost a full minute. Then on top of that, you have your Fiery Brand only works on one target, so whoop-de-doo. And then you got your Demon Spikes.
Yeah.
And your Demon Spikes being a 15-second cooldown, and each charge lasts for 6, there's a 3-second gap there where you've got no defensive. And let me tell you, 3 seconds doesn't sound like a lot. I can tell you right now, when I first started playing Vengeance Demon Hunter, probably 2 to 3 times a dungeon, I would die as soon as I jumped into a group, and it was because I forgot to put my Demon Spikes up. Without mitigation, Demon Hunters die in half a second. Like we have no passive mitigation, and in Mythic Plus, especially on fortified weeks, when you have jump into a mob that's got, you pull 2 packs and there's 10 targets attacking you, you drop your mitigation, it is kite or die.
Yeah.
So I think like this. Now I also think the thing that's going to be nice with this is the absorb shields you're going to get are going to also help mitigate some of the issues with, even if you have downtime and don't have a defensive mitigation available. I think the absorb shields you're going to get from all the um, from Soulmonger, from let's see, did we take Soul Barrier? I thought we have Soul Barrier. No, that's over on that side. Yeah, we did not take Soul Barrier. But you're going to have absorb shields from your Soul Fragments because of Painbringer. Or not absorption, but you're going to have a nice passive damage reduction from that. Then Soulmonger is going to give you a lot of absorb shield. That's a talent that I think is going to be super strong, and I cannot wait to see how that plays because that's totally new. It's not something you've ever had, I don't think.
Yeah.
I really, really am looking forward to playing Vengeance Demon Hunter. Definitely the way that this is looking like. I think the upside is I think Demon Hunters are going to be stronger defensively, whether it be through self-sustain or whether it be through having lots of uptime on Fiery Brand. Either way, I think defensively, Demon Hunters are going to be in probably a better spot than they have ever been in. Damage-wise, I think they're going to be about the same, maybe a little bit less, but I don't think it's going to be much of a drop-off. I think also adding to the Hunt and having Elysian Decree, both those abilities, plus with my first build, having Collective Anguish, I think they're going to be all right damage-wise. I don't think there's going to be much of a drop-off, if there's any drop-off at all. I could be completely wrong. Could be they actually might do even more damage. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be slightly less, but I don't think it's enough to make a big difference. And I will take a hair less damage for the amount of survivability we're going to get. I think the self-healing that you're going to see Demon Hunters doing, like I said, I think it's very likely you're going to see Vengeance Demon Hunters in Mythic Plus doing more self-healing than you're seeing Blood DKs doing right now. And if that happens, honestly, and I haven't looked at any of the other tank specs.
We looked at Brewmaster briefly.
Oh, yeah. But I could see Vengeance Demon Hunter being the top tank for Mythic Plus to start off Shadowlands with the way that this is currently working. Because again,
I heard really good things about Warriors too.
Like Warriors need something. They need some help because right now Prot Warriors are terrible on anything. Honestly, they're not good for raiding. They're not good for Mythic Plus. Yeah. Like Prot Warriors need to get some buffs. They need some extra help. But no, I really like. To me, the self healing again. Like I've said so many times, I prefer tank classes that have lots of self healing, and they delivered. I mean, Vengeance DH. I will say for sure. I mean, I was gonna play it anyway, but for sure I will be playing Vengeance DH going into Dragonflight. Like it will be my my main, hands down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like the builds. Uh, the frustrating thing for me, the only thing I don't like is not getting anything to kind of make up for the tier set bonus. But I also will say if we had the tier set bonus combined with these builds that we've got, yeah, they'd be OP. It'd be too powerful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like what I know you don't really play Vengeance DH, but what you have any thoughts on this?
I think for a lot of the tanks, from what I've been hearing, they're going in a good direction. So it's good that there won't be one particular tank is better than the rest. I think they'll all bring something different. But from going over, I mean, Brewmaster looked pretty good, but I think that Vengeance looks better than Brewmaster already.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of different trees you could take for Vengeance, and you can make it work in anything you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I think
So
that's to me that's also like that's a good point that you hit on. With the when we went over Brewmaster, it was
it's
felt
like
very
one build.
yeah, it felt very much like okay, this side is a raid build, this side is a Mythic Plus build. Now,
Yeah.
granted, part of that could just be, you know, me not having much of an understanding of Brewmaster, but it still felt pretty straightforward that this was Mythic Plus side, this was the single target side. This
Yeah.
build here, now I do think that, you know, as far as a rating build, I think you're going to be looking at the first build we did. I don't think you're going to use the second build I did, because that is more of a defensive AoE defensive build.
Yeah.
I think the first build for sure is what you're going to use for rating. However, I think there's some good balance in here. You know, imagine saying that about Blizzard. There's some good balance in this talent trees
Yeah.
to where, because essentially what I'm seeing from the different trees is they're basically making three paths, like three sections on you know the left, the middle, and the right, and they all have a central focus point. Like for this one, the left side is focused on absorb shields and spirit bomb and frailty. The middle is focused on fail devastation and making that stronger and demon spike reduction. The right side is all about your immolation aura and fiery brand. And I think you have, and it's a frustrating issue, but it's a good frustrating issue. I'm sitting here and I'm having a tough time deciding what to take, but it's not because oh well they all are terrible or well they mix it up terribly. It's that I see all of them as very strong and very fun to play. Um,
Yeah.
Now the one question, you know, the spell not found, I don't know what that will end up being. Maybe that's something that makes that immolation aura side, because
Better.
yeah, I find I would say out of the three sections, the immolation aura and fiery brand section is the one that I feel like is going to see the least amount of use.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be the least amount of use because I feel from a damage perspective, the left side and the getting dark lair boon alone, um, that
Yeah.
alone I think is going to, or not dark boon lair, collective anguish and dark boon lair. Those two combined, honestly, is going to give you a lot of extra damage. And I think they're going to be just slightly stronger than the immolation aura damage.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's in a good spot. From a self-healing perspective, like I said, either build that you go with, your self-healing is going to be amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of talents and you got a lot of mitigation abilities too. It's just
Yep.
overall
Well,
it's nice.
and honestly, that Painbringer talent, um, that's kind of like Blur in a big way, where like it is huge defensively for us
Yeah.
because that Painbringer talent is gonna give us just about a 100% uptime on an 8% damage or 10% damage reduction.
Yeah.
And it says all damage, so that means magic and physical. So
Yeah.
I think that is going to be a very, very big talent for us defensively, along with, like I said, having Blur gives you that extra defensive that we have never had to fill in those gaps. Because I do think uh, now honestly with if you have Feed the Demon, I don't think you're going to see any gaps in demon spikes. But I do think that Blur definitely is going to be amazing to have as a tank.
Yeah.
I can't wait
Oh,
to
for
have that,
sure.
as well as Chaos Nova. I love having Chaos Nova. My biggest frustration with the sigils and the AoE silence and the sigil of misery. I was just talking to one of my friends at work about this. The biggest frustration I have with all of those sigils is even with quicken sigils, there are times when an enemy starts to cast something, I drop the sigil to interrupt it, but the cast gets off before the sigil actually activates because there's a 1 second delay. When you toss your sigil, it still waits 1 second before it actually triggers the sigil. So there are lots of
Yeah.
times when I drop an AoE interrupt and the cast goes off, and then they all get silenced after the cast went off. So, that doesn't help us. um,
Yeah.
so having Chaos Nova is nice because it's an immediate stun. It's not a silence, but that's okay. Having the immediate stun, I think, is going to be excellent. I absolutely love that. But no, overall,
Yeah.
I think Demon Hunters are going to look great AOE damage wise, self healing wise.
Mitigation.
Mitigation looks a lot better. Um, the only thing that I'd say could still be an issue for them is gonna be single target damage. I mean, there's some talents you can take here, like Focus Cleave will make your Soul Cleave do 50% increased damage to the primary target.
Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever. It's not great. I do think Soul Carver and the Hunt are gonna be really good for single target. Not great, because it's still a minute and a half cooldown and a 1 minute cooldown, and outside of that, what do you got? Um,
Yeah.
but I do think those two will help fill that up, uh,
Yeah.
give you a little bit more offensive firepower for single target. But I do think they're still going to be a little weak for single target, but we're used to it at this point.
Yeah.
I think what's gonna probably make them worthwhile in uh, rating. So I still think, just because of how stagger works, Brewmaster is going to be, one of your big progression things. But I think you're going to see Vengeance DH getting a little bit more play in progression rating because of the amount of self healing they're going to have. With Feed the Demon, they're going to have very good defensively, and you got your cheat death. So like the first build that we did, I think that one is going to be your progression rating build for sure. And I think it's
Yeah.
going to be a very strong, because you're not going to put out a ton of damage, but in progression rating, you're not looking at your tank necessarily for huge damage. Obviously, you want them to do damage, but what you're really looking at your tank is survivability on big hits. That's why monks were so good for so long, and progression rating is because of stagger. They can't get one shot by mechanics. And when it comes to progression rating, usually you're right on the edge gear wise to where some of those abilities are really gonna hurt. Um, so I think Vengeance tanks could be in a better spot for rating defensively than they have been, because that was the biggest issue and why you very rarely ever saw Vengeance tanks as a raid tank, was because, one, very low single target damage. Like, we have terrible single target damage at the start of
Yeah.
Shadowlands. They've buffed it a little bit. It's still not good. But defensively, again, and having those gaps where you didn't have defensive mitigation up really hurt you in raid, because you take a hit at the wrong time and you're just dead, one shot. Um, now the counter action to that was basically to talent in to feed the demon to get maximum uptime on your demon spikes, and that was kind of the way to survive raid. But when you do that, you're losing your fracture, and that really hurts damage wise because fracture is your best single target damaging ability. So in a raid perspective, you have to choose. The way that the talents were laid out was you had to choose: do you want great defensively, or do you want good single target damage? Like you couldn't do both. You had to have either good single target damage, but you're probably going to get one shot, or very low single target damage, but you're going to have a lot better defensively.
Yeah. Well, that was we went through it pretty heavily. That was pretty good.
Yep. If you are watching the video, please, leave a like or subscribe or whatever.
Or
We'll be
comment
putting
on
more.
what you want to see next.
Exactly. Comment. Let us know what
I
you want to do.
I think we're gonna do Hunter next.
Most likely.
I would also like to touch on Breeze after these changes. I kind of briefly went over it and it looks really good.
Gotcha. Yep, we can probably get that one in at some point. Hunter will probably be next with Lynch. Will probably be joining us for that one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he'll be on camera because I don't think he really cares to be on camera. Also, I don't know if I can get 3 camera angles on here.
It's all good.
It'd probably have to be
I'm
a
sure
Zoom.
he's okay.
Yeah, we'd probably have to switch to a Zoom call for that because I don't think I can get 3 camera angles.
No, I think we're okay there.
But yeah, no, I don't think he's gonna want his camera on anyway if he even has a camera.
Yeah, we'll leave our streams, our Twitch streams in the description, so you guys can check out our streams if we're streaming.
Yep, for sure.
We're waiting for beta, and that's probably all we'll do.
Yep, if anybody from Blizzard happens to be watching this, or maybe knows anybody from Blizzard is watching this, beta, please, 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 please.
Yeah.
Been playing for like 13 years now. I will be very active in beta, lots of feedback, and I'll be nice about it. I won't be like, screw you, Blizz, you're awful, you're terrible. Yeah, Although if you don't give us beta, then maybe we will. No, I'm sure we'll get beta at some point. It's just a matter of when. I would like to get it sooner than later so we can start testing these things out.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows? Maybe by the end of this week we'll have beta. Doubtful.
Yeah,
I guess the week's almost over, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess it's tomorrow's Friday. Yeah, we're getting close.
Yep. But yep, no, thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
And then we will see you guys next time on our next one.